Hey everyone, Mario here with TCG Hut. We're at Black Knight Games in Hamilton, Ontario. Just finished a local tournament, and we've got James Reed here who came in 3rd place. How's it going, James?
It's going well. How are you?
Not bad. Good tournament overall?
Yes, we had a lot of fun tonight.
Awesome. Okay, so what are you playing?
I was playing Vlad, and Vlad, as we all know, plays very heavy control, so I think I'm just going to get right into the deck here. It's pretty simple. So
let us know what's going on.
We're going to start here. So I'm going to start out up top here with our creatures. Pretty much what we're looking for in our creatures early game, we're definitely looking for our familiars and our Grettles. Familiars cantrip, they're going to get us another card when they're cast. They have utility afterwards, and being able to set, or banish them rather, sorry, and dealing 300 damage to a target resonator, which is pretty good value considering that it's a 2/2. So you get a little bit extra damage out of that when you sacrifice it. Grettles are essential in the deck. We definitely want to get ahead on mana with Vlad. So they're great, they do that for us. They chump block, wonderful utility creature. Another utility creature, Hera. They're right now in rotation. We got numerous fantastic O-drop regalia. I could really go on, but chances are you guys already know what they are, so that's why we have her there. And Feast Sing. I know we all know and love Feast Sing. It's very effective right now. Very metas here is very aggro heavy, so this thing eats up Lancelots all day. Great combat tricks on Lancelot. If you wait for your opponent to pump Lancelot's ability to give him above 1,000 attack, and you let your opponent attack and they choose your resonator target to deal the damage to, at this point we can bring in Feast Sing, then prevent the damage, which will save your resonator and prevent all the combat damage that Lance is going to do that way. If we have blocker support, great. If not, we can just let it go through because there's no damage.
Okay. And that top row there, that's all 4 of us?
Yes, we are all running play sets of all the creatures.
Alright, perfect.
Yes, now we're going to move on to our removal and counter spells. So, big early game, keep all your bows in your openers, hope you draw them more, they're just fantastic, they do a lot of work. Thunder, another card, it doesn't need too much explanation. You'll want to save, I've had a lot of success saving these till the end of the game, and only really using them on resonators if I'm in a pinch, because closing out even say 2 Thunders before you untap and dealing 10 damage before you go to drain out with Vlad has been very successful for me. We run a playset of those as well. Stonings I formerly ran a playset of, I've gone down to 2. The double darkness was a bit intensive for the deck, so we removed 2 of them to make room for some counter spells. Another 4 of in our deck is Flame of Outer World. Again, I don't think something needs too much explanation. It's generally agreed upon the best removal spell in the game. It's J/resonators, which is a fantastic thing, and of course, the icing on the cake, cannot be chased. We can't respond to this spell. It's really fantastic.
And that's dealing what, 800?
800, yes. Lastly, we'll move on to our counter spells. So, formerly I used to run 4 Zeeks and 2 of a Cake Zone, Absolute Cake Zone, which I ended up getting rid of Cake Zone. It ended up being a little underwhelming despite having the play set of Grettles in the deck. Zeeks, lots of stuff to do with Zeeks. Obviously, for the most part, we're hitting, countering our opponent's resonators, key ones that come out. Mode to really not underestimate with Zeeks is giving a resonator essentially Shroud, so it cannot be targeted by spells or abilities at all. So this is going to prevent, not only save your creature from a removal spell, but it will also prevent your opponent's creatures from getting boosted from additions. Really fantastic. So removing the Stonings and one of the Zeeks, I made room for Exceed instead. It is a little pricey on the deck and at times has been taxing, but being able to counter any spell has just been really essential in this deck, I've found.
Especially running the Feast Sings, you're getting that.
Absolutely. We do have our playset of Feast Sings, so we do get value out of those if she's out with the cantrip. So now we'll go to the stones.
All right.
We are running a 4-color deck, so we are obviously running lots of dual stones. 3 Magic Stone of Deepwood, 3 Magic Stone of Blasting Waves, 3 Magic Stone of Black Silence, and then our 2 non-dual stones, our special stones, Feasting, the Holy Windstone, and Grubalesta. Excuse me, what is this called? The Sealing Stone. So we run 11 stones in this deck, so it gives us at about roughly in and around the area of 20% success rate of whiffing with Gretel. Statistically, it should be around 20%. In my experience, it's probably around 30%, but maybe that's just me personally. I've whiffed on Gretels on those stones more times than I'd like. Having said that, however, the amount of times that these two stones have come in handy for me makes them well worth it. A couple things I want to talk about with the stones quickly. Feast Sing prevents a resonator from being the target of normal spells your opponent controls. So one thing not to forget about Feast Sing is you can target your opponent's resonators. So if your opponent's trying to stick that on me, we can pay one, tap that, and prevent that from happening. One thing to remember about Brew, opponent ends our turn, assuming we have the will to activate Grubalesta. Before our untap, we can activate Grubalesta, give a resonator O-2, untap, give that same resonator O-2 again, and we can sink a lot of resonators that way with 3 or 4 defense. Last real deck tip I have to give for this deck with the heels of Moonlight Savior upon us, don't play this deck. I really don't think it's going to be successful in the new meta, the new Darkness Resonator. I'm afraid his name's Gil something. Yes, he will...
Darkness Resonator? Which Darkness?
Or Darkness Ruler, my mistake, sorry.
Gil Lapis.
Gil Lapis, yeah. So Gil Lapis, once he's flipped, counters Vlad all day for 1 will. So basically, you're going to be investing 2 will. They only have to invest 1 to completely stifle the ability. So it's not going to be that good there. The other thing that is going to be tricky for Vlad is the Yggdrasil for mono green, because we need to deal damage to target opponent with Vlad. So, assuming we're killing our Yggdrasil opponent for the first time, replacement effect's going to kick in. We're not going to be able to respond. And once the Alice and the Regalia hit the field, we won't be able to hit our opponent because we won't be able to target them with Vlad, which we need to be able to do. And even for argument's sake, if we remove the Regalia somehow, we won't be dealing enough damage to get through the Alice avatar. So once the Moonlight Savior rolls around, we're probably just tearing this apart. But for the next little bit, try it out. Still a fun deck.
And do you want to just go over your sideboard there real quick?
Ah, sure. We will go over sideboard very quickly. Lots of aggro decks are popular. So to deal with those, I run 2 Dark Pulses. Used to be a play set, but unfortunately there's a couple resonators outside of the 2 cost that I decided to run 2 Awakenings as well, just to give myself a little more resiliency, a little more options. Both have been fantastic. Most resonators that people are dropping are 2 and below. Obviously there's some 3s and above, but I've been finding it's very handy. Rewriting Laws, they can trip in my sideboard, make my stones tap for anything. So it just really helps me to cast a lot of things.
When would you be boarding those in against what?
Usually, if I'm boarding these in, is when I'm using like Dark Pulse or something like that, and I say I have Grubalesta out, and I want to save some of my stones for my opponent's turn. To be able to activate my group, I can rewrite laws, use whatever other stones I want for my black, so I'm able to do my Awakening at the end or Dark Pulse, and still leaves the option open of my Grubalesta. Elvish Bowman, just to deal with additions. If you get it out before Certo against, oh my goodness, laser decks, fantastic. Otherwise, any other decks that run lots of additions, this card just poops all over them. Scheherazade, very effective against tribal type decks. Also with our deck, this is our only real ace against the light Arthur, because he can't be targeted by darkness or fire, spells or abilities. So this is our only real out if we end up in a matchup where Arthur is really causing us a lot of problems. Susanoo, I don't really think he needs that much of an explanation. We're looking to cast him for 3 against opponents that are using dragons.
Yeah, Gwyber, kill that Gwyber.
Get that Gwyber out of here, those 1-mana Gwybers. And last but not least, we got our Barrier of Shadows. Mostly these have been in since R&R, still very effective against that, but also still very effective against Regalia-based decks. I really like this card on the side.
Awesome. So, after playing today, would you say there's anything you change about the deck, or would you just leave it as is?
At this point, it's hard to say. The only thing that is really sticky is like maybe one less Exceed, and maybe put in back in one more Stoning or Zeke's, something like that. But otherwise, for the most part, I think it's pretty solid the way it is.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for the deck tech.
Thank you, and I hope everyone enjoyed that, maybe learned something, and hopefully we'll see you again sometime soon.
Yeah.
I was
keep it rocking in the top 3.
mediocrely caustic bottom.
All right, guys. Till the next video. See you later.
You're either a 3-2